humanoids live beneath the surface of the earth in underground bases as conspiracy theorists claim? If it's true, where do they come from? How long have they been here, and what's their ultimate agenda? Hi, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and this is Just Energy. In this episode, we'll be speaking with Betsey Lewis, the author of the new book, Ancient Serpent Gods. Betsey is an internationally renowned psychic, author, and Earth Mysteries investigator. For the last 40 years, she has investigated angels, aliens, UFOs, cattle mutilations, and other Earth mysteries. She was the host of the popular talk radio show Rainbow Vision Network for 7 years, which featured best-selling authors and renowned investigators on paranormal, metaphysical, and mysterious topics. Her website is betseylewis.com. Her new book, Ancient Serpent Gods. So please welcome Betsey Lewis. Hi, Betsey. How's it going?
Well, great. Hi, Dr. Rita. Great to be on your show today. Thank you.
I am so glad to have you back. But
Thank
Betsey,
you.
I find it so interesting. You know, we both came out of the woo-woo world and find ourselves steeped in controversial topics like ETs and government conspiracies, and now for you, reptilians.
Yes.
Why change? Why move into this area of research?
Well, I've always thought about it, and I started reading the different books that came out during the 60s, like Eric von Däniken and the Ancient Aliens. And of course, every author now is talking about ancient aliens, right? But no one's really talking about reptilians and what's going on. I mean, there's some, but no one's taken it to the point where they say that maybe the dinosaur has actually evolved. We know that they lived between maybe 160 to 200 million years. That's a lot of time to evolve. And according to scientists, we modern humans, Homo sapiens, only were around for like 200,000 years. They evolved, which I don't believe. I think we were around with the dinosaurs, but that's a long time. And supposedly an extinction event happened 65 million years ago to destroy the dinosaurs. I don't know why they were just destroyed. Should have been all of them. But suppose a species, and there are different paleontologists that think so, actually, you know, if they would have survived, would have evolved into a superior being. So,
Well, and I find it interesting because you're not saying that reptilians are a group of extraterrestrials, which is where most people automatically go
right.
when they say reptilians.
Well, I believe there is a species of reptilians, and the Greys are part of that. But I do believe there are other aliens visiting Earth and have been watching us, maybe experimenting on us. But I think the reptilians have had a big part in our evolution too. And I'll get into that too. I don't know how, you know, we only have an hour, but yeah.
Well, you know, and I think we're on the same brain wave,
Ooh,
Betsy.
good. Telepathic here.
That's right. You know, so you were talking about the dinosaurs, and one of the things, okay, now this is going to be like a terrible reference.
Go ahead, go for it.
You know, but like in Jurassic Park, they were
Yes.
talking about the raptors, for example, you know,
Yes.
their style of hunting, and that they were very intelligent,
hmm
even though they were dinosaurs. And
Right.
so, if, you know, based on their observations, and I'm assuming from the archaeological record, that there were intelligent dinosaurs, you
Yes.
know, that their intelligence could have increased over time, just makes sense.
Sure. Well, we were always taught, and I'm sure maybe you were taught this too, the dinosaurs were slow moving, they were cold blooded, and they weren't intelligent, which doesn't make sense at all. And now paleontologists are changing their minds. There was Robert Baker in the 1960s who actually started the theory that they were actually warm blooded and they were intelligent. they were quick moving. So here's a totally different theory about them. And that totally makes sense to me. Recently, they came out with a news article that birds actually have bigger brains than apes. They have more brain cells packed into those little brains than apes. Now think about that. If they could have that many brain cells, and to think that these dinosaurs, and another thing that we've been told is that they're egg-laying, but there is proof that there's actually mammals that dinosaur mammals. So here's a whole different thing on dinosaurs. Isn't that interesting?
Wait a minute, back up.
Yes,
Dinosaur mammals, so they
mam
actually carried their young and
yes,
had a
they did.
live birth?
Yes, yes. There are
Talk about
things
that a second.
oh,
I've
okay.
never heard of that.
Really? Yeah. Well, there are theories about it, but the Ica stones that were found during the 1500s by a Jesuit priest, he first started writing about these Ica stones from Peru. I know you've probably seen them,
Hmm.
and they're carved. There was like 11,000 of them. And some of them show dinosaurs eating humans, which is not good. Dinosaurs giving birth to baby dinosaurs, and actually, the people then were doing brain surgery, heart surgery. They were so advanced. And another thing that it showed were dinosaurs lifting their tails up. And scientists always thought that they dragged them, but there's evidence now that they actually lifted them. And they don't splay their legs like lizards. They actually um, they actually walk, you know.
Like
So
like more bipedal,
yeah,
like a dog.
right.
Well, I guess that wouldn't be
Yeah,
bipedal, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right, right. So everything that we've been told has been wrong so far, that they were warm-blooded, uh, which would make
Shocking.
sense. I know, shocking. We've been lied to, but yeah, can you
But
imagine?
but that makes more sense.
Mhm.
There's the flips and spins that they have done over the years of how did you have a cold-blooded dinosaur that evolved into a bird, but somewhere along the line it became warm-blooded?
Right. Yeah. I think evolution, the way we've been taught, is just totally ludicrous. I mean, we have to rethink evolution. We know giants were on the earth. I mean, we found giant skeletons. It talks about it in the Bible. It even talks about maybe aliens. With Prophet Ezekiel and different things in there, that we were mating with these beings. And, throughout history, even the Sanskrit texts tell about these aliens and having nuclear capabilities and craft. They were flying around in the sky. I mean, oh my gosh, look at us now. But yeah, it's been going on for eons, and what we have been told is just a lie to keep us ignorant and un, in just without that knowledge. They don't want us knowing that knowledge because knowledge is power, right?
Well, so you say they don't want us to have that knowledge. Do you think that someone, and I'm going to say in the human species, has
Mhm.
that knowledge? Or,
I think so. Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of these people, if you want to call them the cabal, the Illuminati, the New World Order, I think there are a group of people out there that know this knowledge and have kept it from us. And that's what controls us.
okay. Um,
Okay, there you have it. So, yeah, look, suppose there is a reptilian race that survived, after millions of years, evolved, went underground, and actually stays there. They have become so intelligent and so advanced. Of course, they can go in and out of the oceans. They have bases there. We've heard about USOs, these UFOs that dive in and out of large bodies of water all over the world. And how can we deny that there isn't something going on? Why would
Hmm.
they do that? And there's just so much that points to reptilians actually evolving. And if they did, just think of how far advanced they would be. And, we hear stories that they can go through walls, they can do all kinds of things that control time and space as we know it.
Well, and I think if they're, and I'm going to come back to the whole evolution thing, but if their evolutionary path, where they put their time, energy, and mentality were more into working with energy, working with the universal laws, and I hate to get into a metaphysical topic, but if they were doing things like you hear of the sages in India, who can
Right.
transmute matter and do these things, if that's what they were
Exactly.
putting their time and energy in, and they had a few 100 million years, they probably could walk through a wall or
Right.
astral
Right.
project around the planet.
Sure, sure. And I think part of our government is working with these aliens. I think there's good aliens, there's bad aliens, just like humans. There's good and bad. And of course, the bad seem to be taking over and doing more. All these missing people, that's another thing. You've probably heard different authors talk about these people, thousands of people that have been disappearing since the 40s, maybe earlier than that just vanish. And some of them have been pilots that have vanished, describing UFOs. And so suppose they're being taken. And Phil Schneider, you probably know about
Hmm.
Phil Schneider, and a lot of people think he was a big fake, but I don't think he was. I think he was telling about a firefight in Dulce, New Mexico, and about these reptilian and grays that were down there when he was there as an engineer, and went down there and saw these things and actually lost two fingers in this firefight with the aliens. But they're there, they're here.
See, the part that just gets me is why keep, if they have been here all this time,
Hmm.
why keep their presence secret? Because we could have acclimated as a species with having them be part of our society, whatever role, whether they be a god or they
Yeah.
be Fred, the mechanic that works on my car. But, now they're this
Yeah, exactly.
mysterious secret
Right.
thing that I don't
Hmm.
understand why that dynamic was created.
Right, right. Well, I think that if they're bad aliens, some of them are, like I said, have been doing these genetic experiments on us. John Lear talked about it when he did an interview with Art Bell in, let's see, it was 2003 on Coast to Coast. He said that they've been doing these genetic experiments. They keep us in these containers, the people they've abducted, and that's thousands of people that have been abducted. They've corrected us supposedly 65 times through genetics, and they are still doing it. But just think if humans found out. I mean, we live in this la la world, it's the Truman story, right? where we have the perfect wife, the perfect home, the perfect husband, the perfect job, and we come and go, but there's this other world outside that we don't even know about. And suddenly, suppose that we found out that there are reptilian race underneath our feet all this time. Can you imagine what it would do to religion? And panic people. Some would embrace it, some would be frightened. There would be a lot of different emotions with something like that.
But I think people are getting more accustomed to the idea of extraterrestrials. And I
That's
think,
true.
short of them coming, kind of like an Independence Day with their with their giant mothership over the
Right.
Capitol.
Right.
I think people would be like, hey, they look like Andorians. I mean, because we have been kind of acclimated
Yeah.
to these other possibilities.
Right.
Okay, but you talked a little bit about evolution and
Right.
how you believe these reptilians have been genetically engineering or changing our DNA, which I am
Yes.
not even going to argue because the mythological record totally supports that concept.
Hmm.
But what about the reptilians? Could they have also been a genetically engineered race at some point in time in their history?
Right. Well, many believe that the grays are some kind of robotic engineering, and there are different forms of grays and many hybrids supposedly from these grays that are actually reptilian and human. And there are many people out there that claim to be hybrids out there. I was watching a video on YouTube, fascinating video, of a gal that believes she's a hybrid. She's probably in
Was it
her,
Juji?
no, Lisa
Okay.
from Quebec. Have you watched that one?
I haven't watched that one, but I did an interview where we were having this whole conversation and so watched a
Mm,
couple of different presentations on the topic.
mm. Well, what's really interesting about her story, she's about 6'3". It's really tall. She has negative O blood. And what's really interesting about that is if you can't mate with someone if they don't have negative O blood, there's something about it that you have to have a vaccine. And I guess her mother, when she was pregnant with her, this is the really weird story. She was 8 months pregnant and she felt really tired. She decided to go upstairs and get on her bed and just relax. And suddenly she sees these two aliens that come in, the typical grays. And one said, she's ready. And the other one said, no, she's not ready. And she thought, what are they talking about? She kept telling him, leave me. I have other children here. Go, leave me. And finally, they just vanished. But the next month, ninth month, she had been going to her doctor. Her doctor said everything was good. She was going to have one baby. And she gave birth to a boy. And suddenly the nurse started screaming, there's another baby. And he came running in there and he says, that's not possible. There's no baby, other baby. And sure enough, Lisa was born, a twin. And her mother is O negative, and she is O negative, and her daughter is O negative. And she said that she's had some really weird dreams about lizards, but that might not have anything to do with it. But another weird part about her story is that she met this gal. She's part of this support group for people that have been abducted or experiencers. And the lady is from England, and they could communicate through telepathy. I guess now, Lisa doesn't speak English. She speaks French. And the gal was from England, spoke English, of course, and they could communicate. And I guess when she first met Lisa, she said, you are a hybrid. And the gal goes, what? you know, what? How do you know this? And I guess she's a hybrid too, but it's really an interesting story.
But that's just, we think of normal everyday life, and that's just
Yeah.
kind of a mind blower,
Hmm. It
and
is.
but there's so much stuff that is coming to the surface,
There is.
in the last couple of years, whether we talk about extraterrestrials or reptilians or government stuff, all of this dirt
Hmm.
coming to the surface that it's kind of like, so basically everything in our world is becoming suspect.
It is. It is. Nothing is real anymore. The things that we've been told for eons are just falling apart. It's like this parallel world is shifting into our world now. I mean, we're seeing more and more strange animals that we've never seen, supposedly, things that shouldn't be on this earth that we don't even know about. Just unexplained things are happening. Paranormal things are happening more and more. People are reporting these things in the sky, spears and fireballs and just all kinds of things. You probably saw that video of that cube thing that was seen over Texas. El Paso, was it?
Yeah,
I
too
think.
far for me though, so.
That was really weird. And not just one person photographed it. There were many people that saw it. So it wasn't faked. What was this thing? They said it looked like it was from a portal, that there was a portal opening up with this cube.
All I kept thinking was Borg. It's Borg.
Borg. You would think that. Dr. Rita, you're a hoot.
But you're sitting here talking about everything being fake, and I'm like, ooh. And then they're going to come out and say, bacon is good for you. They've been lying to you for all these years. Bacon is good for you, or
well, I'm
something.
Sure. Don't they do that all the time?
No, that's only pharmaceuticals are good for you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Until you hear all the disclaimers and all the side effects, you might as well kill yourself. Oh my God.
Okay. Let's move on. So one of the things you talk about in your book is you bring in the Anunnaki. And so how do they fit into this whole thing? And actually, I want to kind of preface this to kind of see your positioning. So do you believe that the Anunnaki are one specific group of extraterrestrials, or do you think it's more of a generic word to kind of talk about groups of extraterrestrials?
There's different descriptions of the Anunnaki, and they have been described as reptilians. So maybe there's the theory, my hypothesis could be totally wrong. Maybe they were, they came here eons ago, millions and millions of years ago. They stayed. They evolved, and they are the ones responsible. Or, like I said, it's the dinosaur that evolved. And, there was paleontologist Dale Russell. He did an experiment during the 1980s. I don't know if you read that part in my book, called the Dinosaur. And what's really strange about this thing, he said if the dinosaur had evolved, and he took the Troodon dinosaur, and what's really interesting about this sculpture that he did is it looks just like the gray reptilian aliens that have been described for, the last 50 years, which is really interesting. And I think that's the same. But he said they would have evolved into a super species, and they would have walked upright. They would have had the large eyes. They would have had the opposable thumb, which this Troodon did. It was probably one of the most intelligent dinosaurs.
Well, cool.
Well, I know. That's the one on the front of the book. You have it there, in front of you there.
Let's see if I can get it on.
There you go.
I can't see my own picture, so.
Yeah, that's the Dinosaur with the Troodon. And that's up in the Canadian museum up there. I think Ottawa. I think it's at that museum.
Cool. Thank you for watching this portion of our interview with Betsey Lewis, the author of the book Ancient Serpent Gods. If you're enjoying today's program, please click on the button below and subscribe to our channel. If you want to hear this interview in its entirety, become a Just Energy Radio insider at justenergyradio.com and access full shows commercial-free and gain access to our over 9 years of show archives. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And so until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy. Be blessed.